If there's no enemy within, the enemy outside could do no harm. Peace, family, peace, 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 peace. I hope you guys are having such an amazing day. If not, do understand and get that your day is going to get better once your perception gets better. My name is Dina Bryant. I do these inspiration videos. I do some vegan cooking, and I also do some shopping. Today's video is about betrayal, okay? All right? And one of the things that we have to ask ourselves whenever we encounter situations such as betrayal is, what was going on within myself in order for me to meet the person, right? And I was thinking about that yesterday and earlier today. Now, this story, it takes place, a few years in my heyday, okay? All right, in my early 20s. Was it early 20s? Yeah, like, my early, probably like about 25, okay? In my mid-20s, okay? And many of you guys know that I was working at a hardware store, okay? And I wanted a job so bad, like yesterday, okay? I wanted a job so bad. I was unemployed. And at that time, I've been unemployed for a little while, okay? And I had two African friends, okay, who were, well, one of the African friends, he was like really dear to my heart, okay? That's the guy who I stayed with, me and my son had stayed with, okay, my oldest son. At that time, I had only one child, okay? Now, I stayed with him and his father and stuff like that. He gave me a place to stay. And me and him became really close friends, okay? And later on throughout the years, he started working for this plant company. And I wanted a job like, like yesterday. And he told me about the hardware store, okay? And the hardware store was Home Depot. Okay, he told me about this store, and he was like, they hiring and, things of that nature. So I've been trying to get in there. I was calling them, okay, because I had did my application, but I didn't get a call back from them. And so he was like, I'm gonna talk to them again. He knew one of the supervisors in one of the departments. So he said, I'm gonna talk to them again, and I'm gonna see if you could get in there, right? I'm going to tell them that you filled out the application and so forth. So long story short, okay, I had got called to come in and do an interview, which the interview, it was like really easy because he knew one of the supervisors, the department head of that department. So it was rather easy, okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, one of the things that I am going to say is this. Whatever you have going on within you, that is what you're going to attract, okay? And I remember hearing this saying from Tabitha Brown. One of the things she said was she wanted, like she was looking for real friends while she was being fake. And that really owned in on me in my life, right? Because my early years, I thought it was all about what you have, being better than the next person that may not have it. This was my belief system, okay? And then after that, what I realized was no matter what you have, if you feel like you're not enough, you just not gonna be enough, okay? And if that's your belief system, friend, I'm here to tell you, you have the ability to change it, okay? You do not have to stay the same by any means. And if some of you guys like, oh, do she have on clothes? Yes, honey, I have on clothes, okay? All right? Because I know you can only see me for okay, I have on clothes, okay? And so, so we have to be mindful of situations. And so First, I was working in the paint department, okay, learning about that lacquer, okay, learning about lacquer paint, okay, satin, okay, flat, okay, learning about the paint, okay. And I learned about the paints. I was working in a paint department at first, okay. I mean, oh, child, finer than wine when I showed up, okay. But my self image, it was trash, okay, and I didn't know. You see, I didn't know that my self esteem or my self image was trash until I met a good friend working at that hardware store. And he was older than I, and me and him would talk, and I would tell him, the things that I was, growing through, okay? And he would give me advice. And I remember one day he told me, he said, Dina, your self esteem is very low. And you see, I always thought that self esteem was equipped to what I have, right? And how I dress. And I was in denial. I was like, no, it's not, right? But here I was going to him, telling him about the type of guys that I was attracting and how I would pretty much be chasing the guys, right? How I didn't know my self-worth, how I didn't know my self-value. And I didn't come out and say, oh, I don't know my self-worth or self-value, but I would tell him stories. And he would, he told me one day, he said, Dina, your self-esteem is very low. Okay. And so everything that comes into our lives is always a reflection of what we have going on within ourselves. Some people may say, well, these people just showed up. These people just came into my life. That's never the situation. People come into your life based upon where you currently are and how you feel about yourself. So if you have like a low self-esteem about yourself, you are going to attract people who are going to reflect and bring out the shadow side that we tend to want to sweep under the rug. We tend to not want to show because we are ashamed of it. Okay. And so I worked in a paint department at first. And then after that, I had went to the garden department. The garden department, I don't quite remember why I went to the garden department. But I know the department head that the guy who hired me at first, I know that he went to another department. Okay. So I went to another department, which was the garden department. And let me tell you something, okay? When you're going out and filling out for these jobs, okay? One of the things that I remember old supervisor told, a store manager had told me before. Was she a store manager? A district manager, okay? Something like that. I was a vendor at this other company. Honey, side note, okay? Just want to put this out there. She had told me, I remember, I never forget. She said, Dina, and she was white, okay, and I don't know if she was a Jewish lady or what, but maybe she was, okay. But okay, one of the things she told me, she said, whenever and I was working for her, okay, it was a vendor inside a Home Depot, okay, and I was working for that company, okay. Kurt Weiss, I never forget it. Oh, child, oh, dash. Okay, but anyway, one of the things she said, whenever you go and fill out for another job, always put $2 more. Okay, so say if you was working at, I don't know, Michael Kors, okay, something like that, and you was getting, just say like 20 something dollars an hour. I mean, I don't even know if you get 20 something dollars an hour at Michael Kors, but just say for argument's sake, okay, you was getting 20 something dollars an hour. When you go to Louis, okay, or Versace, you put $2 more, okay, so you can get $22, okay, because look at what you used to get, and that's what happened. It worked for me, okay, because I definitely got an increase to the next job, which was the hardware job. So moving forward. So, I was working in the plant department, okay, gardening, and gardening was fun, okay. I'll tell you guys a story about that later. I think I told that story about one of my, one of the supervisors of that department, the department head. He liked me, and how somebody like you, and you don't like them, but you pretty much is going to try to not get what you can. It's just like you don't like them, but you want to be friends with them, but you know they like you. Honey, I'll tell that story another day. Okay. But anyway, so I was working for that department for gardening, and gardening was fun. Okay, the gardening department, because when Christmas time came, I had to cut trees. Okay, yes, girl, I was, you know what that's for. Okay, I had to cut trees, and I would get tipped very, very well. Okay, from the customers and stuff like that. So winter time was always my favorite time when I was working in a gardening department. Okay, learning about them perennials and those annuals. Okay, all right. And so from that department, then I had moved over to like merchandise. Okay, and this was pretty much a new department that they had opened up. Okay, and the department head of that department, he was like really, really a close friend of mine. Okay, at least I thought. Okay, and I remember we were so close. Okay, you know, I would confide to him, tell him things that was going on in my life. Okay, he would tell me, you know, the girls who he liked and who he was messing with, all these other different things. And we was close. We went to Atlantic City. Okay, he invited me to go to Atlantic City with him, and I went to Atlantic City with him. Nothing happened. It was just platonic. Okay, we had a great time. But when I had came back from the trip with Atlantic City, okay, now I took a picture because there's a club at a hotel. I think it's called the Harrah's or something like that in Atlantic City. Honey, correct me in the comments, okay, if I'm wrong. But it's called the Harris or something like that, or is it the Harris? Whatever. Okay, but there's a club in a hotel with like a pool and everything. Okay, and this place, I mean, honey, is lit. Okay, if you have not been to Atlantic City, okay, it is lit. Okay, this hotel with the club and everything, right? And so, they have like sort of a red carpet, you know, sort of that where you could take a picture. So I took a picture there, right? He took the picture. I was like, oh, I want to take a picture right here. You know, hair was freshly did. So I said, you know, take a picture, right? So he took a picture, and then he took a picture of me, and then he wanted me to take a picture of him, and then I think we took a picture together. Okay, just as friends, right? So when I got back to Home Depot, right? Remember that close friend I told you guys about who will always tell me, you know, give me advice and stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh, so are you messing with let's just say the guy name was Roger, right?" He was like, "Are you messing with Roger?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, well, the word that's going on in this store is that you and Roger is messing around because y'all went to Atlantic City together and, you know, stuff like that." And I was like, no. And at first I was wondering, like, how did people know that we went to Atlantic City together? Okay. So I think Roger had posted something, and maybe I posted something. Honey, I don't remember every detail, but they knew. Okay. And so it was like very gossipy, right, at the hardware store. Very gossipy. Okay. Honey, you go on lunch with somebody, they say you messing with them. All right. And so I was like, no, I don't mess with him and stuff like that. So he was like, and one of the things my older friend had told me, now he was older, probably like 5 years, okay. And one of the things he told me, he said, the way you give guys attention is not like, pretty much he was saying, like, the way you give guys attention is like you mislead them. And what he was merely saying was, he was like, because when you talking to the guys, it's like, first of all, you be close to them, and then it's like you give them this sort of attention. Like, the average guy, I think that you in this other guys messing around, right? So I never forgot he told me that. Okay. So me and Roger, okay, cool, really, really cool. He was, my supervisor and stuff like that. He did change up once he got that position. I ain't gonna lie, okay. Because prior to that, he was different, okay. He was the person that you could talk to. He was really cool, right? But soon as he got that position, okay, he started switching up. Okay, that was the word around town. Okay, the word in the store. He started switching up. Okay. And so what wound up happening was I was messing with this guy, okay. And okay, I was messing with two guys, okay. Honey, this is how it was in my heyday. Honey, I didn't know who I was, okay. I was looking for love, trying to find love, like love was an address, okay. So I was messing with two guys, and I was telling Roger, like, oh, I messed with this guy, and telling him all my business, okay, because he would tell me his, right? And so afterwards, one of the guys who I was messing with, okay, it was an African guy. Roger went and told this guy everything about who the other guy was messing with. And how I found out was because the African guy had told me. And when someone, sort of stab you in the back, okay? And you feel like, damn, like I confided in you and like you went and told, right? So that's how I was feeling. But one of the lessons that I learned was I was being sneaky, right? And Roger, only thing he was doing, he was reflecting back to me, that he was sneaky because he went and told that guy all the business that I was telling him. And then not only that, also what I learned was what you don't want others to do to you, you shouldn't do it. Right? Now I know that may seem a little cliche, right? Like, but it's true. Okay. Another thing is know thyself. Okay. Many times we say, oh, this person had hurt me. This person had betrayed me. But people can't do no more than what you allow them to do to you. And the red flags, they always show. Because let me tell you something. Roger used to talk about his brother. Okay. And his father. Okay. Not like that, but he used to talk about them. And so when I say the red flags always show, if he talked about his brother and his father, okay, what made me think that he wasn't going to go and talk about me? Okay. And sometimes we may give up excuses like, oh, they never, I never thought that they would talk about me. Well, how could you have never have thought that they would talk about you, honey, when they was talking about their own family. Okay. And so that's one of the things that you have to understand. And nothing is personal. Again, I repeat, from the book, The 4 Agreements. Take nothing personal. It wasn't personal, okay? I guess Roger calls himself liking me, all right? And because nothing ever occurred between him and I, some way, I guess he felt like, oh, I'm going to stab her in the back. And what was so crazy was because as he was telling the guy that, I don't know, I think I stopped working at the hardware store at that time. Or no, I think I still was working it. But he would still be smiling in my face and talking to me as if he did not just gossip and stab. As if he did not just gossip about me. And tell the guy who I was messing with at the time that I was messing with somebody else. Okay. All right. And so another thing is, like my grandmother, she would say, she would be like, make sure make sure one door is closed before you you go into another door. Talking about relationship wise, right? Make sure you are done with the one person that you was in a relationship with before you go into another relationship. Okay. And it wasn't really a relationship. It was more so because that African guy, he had somebody, right? And that's another thing. Ladies, make sure you know your worth, okay? Because if a guy is telling you they are going to leave the person that they are with, okay, and they like, I just want to mess with you, and, sooner or later I'm going to leave the person, I'm going to get a divorce from the person, chances are they are not, okay? They are not. And if they do, is there someone that you would really want, okay? Because if they did that stuff to you, okay, if they did that stuff to her while they was with you, it's gonna be the same exact thing, okay? And I'm not making excuses and saying, oh well, that's why I was messing with somebody else, okay? I was young, okay? I wanted to have fun. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. I was insecure, all right? Like I said, my self-image, it was not the best, okay? And I didn't know that I needed to do the work on myself until years later, until I started understanding that certain things are showing up in your life, Dina, because of the way you perceive yourself and your self-image. And so to the person out there, if you don't change what you got going on in the inside, nothing is going to change. It doesn't matter if you change jobs, if you get into a new relationship, or if you move or whatever, any of those things, none of those things matter. What matters is you start doing the work on yourself and understand that you are worthy and enough, okay? And nobody can do anything without your permission. So Roger, he just was reflecting back to me how I was choosing to show up. And with that being said, let me know in the comments, okay? What if there was ever a time that you felt you was betrayed? And if so, what lesson did you get from that? Okay? Because life is about lessons. And if you don't want to repeat the lesson or repeat the course, you have to get these lessons. Until next time.